Chapter 9, Chapter 134 Anger. JJ's POV. And quat. It's your turn. And quat. I shouted at CN. And quat. Come on, your cousin might see me. He'll pick a fight with me. And quat. He pleaded, while stomping his foot. I scratched my head in frustration. We've been like this for a while. He's been ordering me to get ice cream from the kitchen. He refuses to leave the room because Aries always picks a fight with him whenever he sees him. That feeling when I'm the owner of the room. And he's the one staying over, yet I'm the one being ordered around. Nice. And quat. This is so annoying. And quat. I told him and stood up from my seat in front of my study table. And quat. Yeah, hey? Thanks, Jay, and quat, he said, clapping his hands. Ugh, whatever. I left the room and headed straight to the kitchen. Only Manang was there when I arrived. I grabbed some ice cream for the annoying brat and a glass of water as well. On my way out of the kitchen, I ran into Uncle Jolts. And quat. It's late. Your throat might hurt from that. And quat. And quat. It won't. Besides, there are two of us eating. And quat. I replied, smiling at Uncle, who just smiled back. I continued walking back to my room. As soon as I entered, I was greeted by CN clapping in excitement. And quat. Where's the spoon? And quat. He asked when I handed him the ice cream. Oh, great. And quat. I forgot. And quat. I said and immediately left the room again. I nearly slipped while running. So annoying. I quickly grabbed what I needed and ran back to my room. I even passed Aries in the hallway, but he didn't acknowledge me. Of course. What else is new? When I got back to my room, I was practically gasping for air. I looked at CN and the ice cream. I felt utterly embarrassed. The ice cream I brought was almost gone. What the hell? Damn it. And quat. Hey, that's so unfair. And quat. I shouted at him. And quat. Hey, you took too long. And quat. Out of frustration, I threw the spoon at him, but the little punk dodged it like a ninja. Annoying. And quat. I hope you get tonsillitis. And quat. I muttered. I just returned to my study table. I needed to focus on studying properly. Properly, not diligently. Because the phrase and quat, study diligently and quat, no longer exists in my vocabulary. Of course, what else would you expect from someone like me? So, I'll just try to do things properly. But how can I do that when I can't get Keifer's face out of my mind? I was really scared. I may be a girl, but I still get frightened sometimes. Like with Kuya, Angelo, and quat, and quat. I called the annoying brat. And quat, him, and quat, he responded, still devouring the ice cream. And quat. Have you ever seen Keifer get angry? Like, really angry. And quat. I asked him since he had been with Keifer longer than I had, so I couldn't help but be curious. And quat. Of course. Many times. And quat, he answered. And quat. Really? And quat. And quat. Yeah. But the one I'll never forget was when he got extremely mad at Yuri. And quat, he said, stopping his eating. I adjusted my seat so I could face him properly. And quat. What happened? And quat. And quat. We didn't know the reason. He was just furious and wouldn't stop punching Yuri. Ella was crying so hard, trying to break them apart. And quat, he explained. Once again, I got some juicy gossip from this kid. That was during Ella's time. What could have happened back then? And quat. What did you guys do? And quat. And quat. Nothing. No one could stop him. If we got close, we'd get dragged into it. So we just stayed away, and quat. Is that how he gets angry? I don't know, but I don't think I ever want to see that. Just recently, he only yelled at me, and I was already terrified. What more if it was like that? And quat. Poor Yuri, and quat. And quat. No. Yuri's an idiot, and quat, he quickly replied, making me raise an eyebrow. And quat? Idiot, my foot, and quat. He straightened up and looked at me. Seriously. Something he rarely does. And quat. Yuri is a coward. That's why he always sticks to Keifer, because he's actually scared to face the other one. And quat. His words made me freeze. And quat. He doesn't even fight fair. He moves in secret, and we don't even realize it. And quat. As CN said those words, something inside me didn't want to believe him. This was the first time I'd heard him speak like this about his classmate. Yeah, he tells stories, but never in this tone. And quat. That's why I don't want him for you. Don't say yes if he tries to court you, and quat, he added before going back to his food. Too late. We're already getting married. I turned back to my study table. It felt weird. It was hard to believe, but those words came from CN. He had spent more time with Yuri and Keifer than I had. I just wasn't sure if this annoying brat was a reliable source. And quat. Let's watch a movie. And quat. He suddenly shouted and grabbed something from his suitcase. A small bag. He opened it, revealing a laptop. He actually brought one. I checked the time on the wall clock. It was still early, so we had time to watch. I packed up my things and immediately sat beside him as we waited for his laptop to boot up. Poor Ot. And quat. See, that stinks, and quat, I shouted at him while covering my nose. The shameless brat farted. And quat. JJ, come on, there are only 2 of us here, and you're still accusing me. And quat. I was about to flick his forehead, but then his stomach suddenly rumbled, followed by another fart. And quat. My stomach hurts, and quat, he murmured while rubbing his belly. I grabbed his laptop. And quat. Run to the bathroom. Hurry up, and quat. He immediately got up and dashed to the bathroom. Just as he entered, his laptop finished booting up. I knew how to use this, at least somewhat. I thought about snooping around for a bit. I knew his password. This idiot is terrible at passwords. 12,345. Ha ha ha. Welcome CN_Pogi, huh? Puffed. So full of himself. I checked the movie folder first to choose one. There were so many that I didn't know what to pick. Then I looked at the pictures. I saw 3 folders. Random, with _JJ, and secret. Since I'm naturally nosy, I opened secret. Another folder appeared. I don't really like snooping like this. It's tiring. I was about to press the back icon when I noticed something. Kiko_Matsing. Suddenly, for some inexplicable reason, I remembered Kiko Evans. How was he doing? I hadn't heard anything about him since Freya attacked me. That time she nearly ripped my scalp off while pulling my hair. Something pushed me to open that folder. There were about 10 to 12 pictures inside. I clicked on one to enlarge it and see it properly. But I froze at what appeared on the screen. Kiko, lying on the floor, covered in blood and unconscious. What happened? I clicked next, hoping for an answer to my question. But it was just another angle of Kiko's position. I clicked next again. There was a picture of Keiko sitting down. CN and a few others were in the frame, flashing peace signs, acting like nothing was wrong with how he looked. What happened here? I kept clicking until I came across a video. I played it and watched. The camera was focused on Keiko, who was struggling against Kit and Aaron, who were holding him down. And Quat, beat him up, and Quat, a voice shouted, Cyen's voice. And Quat, smash his BLLS. So he learns his lesson. And Quat, someone else yelled. And Quat, let's just cut them off to be sure. And Quat, another voice joined in, followed by loud laughter. Even though the video wasn't entirely clear, I knew they were all there. Aside from their shouting voices, I could see their shadows. There were a lot of them. Suddenly, Yuri and Keifer appeared from the other side, both holding cigarettes and casually smoking. And Quat, you know why you're here, right? And Quat, Keifer asked. Seriously? And Quat, obviously. So you can all gang up on me. And Quat, Keiko snapped. And Quat, you're unbelievable. Of all people, you really had to target JJ. And Quat, Yuri said as he lit another cigarette. And Quat, she was supposed to be mine. You guys just had to interfere. And Quat, Keiko shouted, only to receive a strong punch to the stomach from Yuri. He nearly collapsed from the pain, but Kit and Aaron forced him to stand. I couldn't understand why they were doing, or had done, this. I thought they already dealt with Keiko the night he tried to attack me. So why was this happening now? And Quat, I'm getting impatient. Let's start this already. And Quat, Keifer yelled, flicking his cigarette away. The one recording, who I assumed was Cyen, suddenly moved to a different position. He was now on the other side with Keiko, seemingly standing next to Keifer. Once the shot was steady again, I noticed the others had lined up in front of Keiko. David was first. And Quat, I have a lot of reasons to hurt you back, but I'm choosing JJ for this one. And Quat, David said, before suddenly punching Keiko in the face. He collapsed to the ground, but Kit and Aaron immediately pulled him back up. I covered my mouth in shock and pity. David was done, and the others followed. If they weren't punching his face, they were hitting him in the stomach, or worse, kicking him between the legs. But what I couldn't take was how they laughed while doing it. And Quat, you messed with the wrong person. And Quat, someone shouted. And Quat, JJ is ours. And Quat, let this be a lesson. And Quat, finish him, finish him, finish him. And Quat. They chanted in unison. I felt the pain for Keiko. I knew he was wrong and that he hurt me, but did it really have to go this far? Someone else took the camera. CN stepped in front of Keiko. And Quat, my turn. And Quat, he yelled. He suddenly kicked Keiko in the face. They let him fall to the ground, laughing loudly as they did. He was covered in blood and barely moving. His eyes were swollen shut, and it was clear he was struggling to breathe. Dear God. And Quat, I'm not done with you yet. And Quat, I heard Keifer say before he suddenly kicked Keiko in the knee. Keiko was so weak that all he could do was cry. I could tell he wanted to scream from the pain, but he couldn't. I ran my fingers through my hair. This was my fault. Keifer and the others wouldn't have hurt him like this if it weren't for me. Tears fell from my eyes out of frustration, guilt, and anger. And Quat, JJ, I'm done. And Quat, CN called out as he came out of the bathroom. I immediately stood up and faced him. And quote, why are you crying? And quote, why did you guys do that to Kiko? And quote, I screamed at him. He looked confused at first, but when he saw his laptop on the floor, he froze. And quote, CN. Why